The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Welcome, everyone. My name is Randy Howell with Trader's State of Mind, and I am delighted that you're here tonight. And we're going to have a special little thing that I've never done before. It just so happens that a client from Canada decided to have his last session here. So we actually have a client who's gone through my process and has worked with it that I'm going to allow him to tell you in his own words about what it was like, what it took, and you can ask him questions. Oh, the individual program. Yeah, he's with the individual program. So before we get started, let's find out you can hear me. Okay, if some kind soul would just simply write in a Y in that question box, I would greatly appreciate it. And let's see here. Can you hear me? Yes. Okay, that's great. If you're having problems, then you might just get in, get out, and come back in and see if it's there, but we can hear you. Good. Okay. In that case, the other thing that what happens here is that I'm going to be going through a presentation, and I will not take questions as I do the presentation because that doesn't work well for me. However, if you go ahead and put in your questions, I'll have questions to start with. Even though tonight we're going to be talking, you're going to be talking with Mike, and you may have questions for him. I would rather him, and it just may really help you. So let's get started. What we're doing today is we're beginning to say, you know something, what I really get, this thing about trading that seems to be so different than the rest of life is you come in with a particular brain that has been organized to be able to survive in a particular world. And it's done a good job. I want you to give it credit. Yet, what happens is when you come into trading, it's like walking into a completely different world. The same rules don't apply. It's like big particle physics and little particle physics. You know, the rules are different. So you do that and you go, well, and how does this work that this all comes together, and what am I supposed to understand about why I can't trade the way that I need to be trading to be able to be consistently profitable? Well, where we're going to start is we are going to start literally about the power of your beliefs that are secretly shaping the success of your trading. Okay? Your idea of a belief and my idea of a belief are probably different. I look at a belief as an element within an emotion. It is the part of the emotion that carries the meaning, the belief about your capacity to manage the uncertainty of the challenges that are coming forward. That's what a belief is. And what we want to really do is we want to say, okay, I get it that also the beliefs are actually assessments that a very primitive part of your brain that I generally call the emotional brain, the caveman brain, that it comes to an assessment about your competence, okay? And what happens is it becomes locked in. It's no longer an assessment, it becomes a belief that feels like it's true, feels like it's certain. And we'll walk around with these beliefs, and we discover in our trading, in our account, what we do is we discover how effective those beliefs are for extracting more capital out of the markets than you put back in. That's a big deal. And what I'm saying is this, is that you may not know the beliefs that are actually running your trading. We're going to be getting into that tonight so that you can begin to see it. But the deal is often capital, money, gets built into your capacity to survive in the short term from your caveman brain. And what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to learn how to retrain it. The key, though, is this. The brain, your brain, is remarkably undeveloped at birth. If you were to compare it to, say, a chimpanzee, you would be 9 months behind the chimpanzee at birth. It would take you an additional 9 months of experience working in the world to catch up. with the chimpanzee at birth. Then it just goes crazy. But the deal here is most of evolution has produced a brain that already has instincts set up, and that they can, like a giraffe, within an hour of giving birth, it can run. You're seeing things that humans just can't do. We're helpless. We are really remarkably undefined. So we get organized, and it's these organizations that are happening at specific moments in time that lock in a belief, and you wouldn't even know that the belief is there. That's the deal. And we want to take a look at this, say, well, how does this all work, Randy? How does this all work? Well, first of all, what is a brain? What is a brain that trades? What it's actually like? I use David Eagleman's understanding of the brain, and he's one of the most famous, powerful neuroscientists around today. And what he says is that a brain really is a community of rival emotional programs that compete with one another to construct the self. That self is who you think you are. Actually, but who you really are just simply a particular construction of potential. And it is literally, you might say, these emotional programs, they really are out to win. Okay. And the deal is the winner creates the self. That's the brain that you bring to trading. And if you just happen to have a perfect experience where you learn to work with the uncertainty and stuff like that, you're lucky. Most are like these guys right here, where they're learning to compete with one another. And what you don't need in a brain that trades is a brain at war with itself, a brain that's conflicted with itself, where the power is trying to take over, and what you want is cooperation. And that's something that we're going to have to learn how to produce. So now we're going from there, and we're recognizing, okay, what happens is they also create alliances. Now this, I want you to understand, this is your brain we're talking about. And we're talking about different emotional programs that will work in alliance with one another to be able to get a competitive edge and being able to control the self, the construction of the self. And if this doesn't make sense to you, you need to learn to make sure it makes sense, because fundamentally, you're going to have to go in and reshape, remold the mind that emerges from this brain in order for you to become consistently profitable. That's what it's going to take. So if you see it, and this is a very powerful thing to understand, right here, what you're looking in this image is you're looking at a sculptor moving and shaping clay into a particular form. You can see that, and that's exactly what's happening with your brain. So we're going, what's probably vital for you to understand is that you are not you. You are a construction of potential. From a quantum perspective, all reality exists as potential. There is neither mass nor energy, there is potential. The observer of that potential is what brings forth the shape that you experience as me. Okay? Now, the chance of you actually recognizing that and saying, oh, yeah, Randy, I knew that from a long time, is rare. But what happens is this is when you recognize I have been shaped by forces into a construction of the self called me. And it just so happens, unless you got very lucky, that particular construction is not going to work for success in trading. It will have work for short-term survival success. Okay? And it locks in that formula. You bring it to trading and you find out it doesn't work anymore. So we've gotten this. You exist as potential. The observer of that potential is what brings forth the form of the potential. And this is vital in trading, because we're going to have to reorganize that potential into a very different shape. So there is a big shift that occurs from that community of rival emotional programs that constitute a brain and a mind. That mind is literally what happens is that mind is that these emotional programs are given voice in the mind. You would just look at it, oh, these are my thoughts. No, you do not have thoughts. As weird as that sounds, they're having you. You are born into a soup, into a history, and that undeveloped brain is organizing itself in this soup to survive. And it just so happens that these emotional programs are then, as mind emerges, they're given voice. You hear them as your thoughts. And this is what makes human beings so unique in the animal kingdom. By developing language, thoughts are a lot more than just emotive electrical energy running around in the brain at 225 miles an hour. Now we can hear the emotional programs that are competing with one another to create you, the you that you bring to trading, and the you that's going to have to get reorganized into higher functioning. Now, I realize that this is for a lot of people when they first hear this, it is like, what? This is in neurobiology, what a neurobiologist would say is that you have never experienced reality. What you have experienced instead is the assumptions, the beliefs that you have about what's out there is influencing the feeds coming in, all that electrical stuff, and going to the brain, and the brain organizes all that neural feed coming in, all that information, that data coming in, and takes a best guess about what it's seeing out there. When you look at your charts, this is exactly what's going on. I have a client actually that was working with me not because he needed to work on trading, he was actually working on his intuition. He trades with an 8-figure account and can shake markets a little bit. And one day he and I are talking and working, and we're on Zoom, and he pulls up a chart, and he says, "Randy, what do you think I see here?" And I looked at Christopher and I said, "Christopher, I don't know. You tell me." He said, "I'll tell you what I see. I see blood. You see this place right here in this chart. This is a bunch of retail traders, and I'm going to shake them a little bit. I'm going to scare them. They're going to jump, and I'm going to suck all their blood." That's a very different observer observing other people's voices interacting with the uncertainty of trading. But that's what is so powerful about us. So we're going from there, and then we go, okay, now, and what happens is this may seem weird to you, but I'm asking you to say, tell me something. Have you ever had self-doubt? Have you ever thought, well, I know to do it this way. No, this way. No, this way. All that, those are clashing thoughts. Those are the emotional programs now given thought form in the mind of the human being. And what they're doing is they're competing with one another. They're clashing. Two different emotional programs want to take the self in very different directions. This is what you find when you engage the challenges of trading, when you may have yourself convinced that you control outcome or that you're a rational human being, which by the way, you're not. And you might have that convinced, but the moment that you engage that uncertainty with no control over outcome, that's when you discover the belief structure behind all the clashing thoughts that is holding you back. So that's where we're at. And now it's these encounters with these emotional programs that are so vital. Is you're going to have to learn what these very primitive beliefs are that happened a long time ago before you could think, while the brain, remarkably undeveloped, is still organizing itself. And what we're going to do is we're going to have to start going out, well, what are the beliefs driving the way I manage money? the risk of putting capital into play. So this is what we're actually wanting to do. We're wanting to find what beliefs drive your trading when you're looking at uncertainty with no control over which way that trade goes. That's what we're looking to do. And out of this, what I want you to understand, this is the very powerful thing, is that beliefs are not true, but they become your truth. Ultimately, beliefs are assessments that are made, and they lock in and take on the force of truth. Like, for instance, my dog and I like to take walks. And we often will be walking, and he sees a squirrel, he sees a deer, and he chases. And the deal is, my dog, oh, and rabbits. What he's discovered is he's non-competitive with rabbits. And what he's learned, particularly he's an elder statesman now, is that he just simply won't run at him. Even if the rabbit's only 10 feet away from him, he's not going to go for him. What he's learned is he can't get it. Now, from Buddy, what you see is he'll walk past a rabbit. He doesn't have a story. He doesn't have a language. He doesn't have thoughts about not getting the rabbit. You and I do, though. This is where the assessment was made. My dog made the assessment he can't get the rabbit. The human goes one step further. He can't get the rabbit because he's not good enough. He's not fast enough. He's not this. I'm whatever. What happens is suddenly what you discover is that beliefs have become true. They're not assessments anymore. And this is what we have to do. You have beliefs that you talk about, that you bring to trading, that you don't even know you have. And these are the ones that we need to ferret out. They're the ones that expose themselves as you trade with capital at risk. Now, and here's a big, huge shift. A long time ago, in a place far, far away, we did not have a thinking brain. We were hominoids. We were not even yet Homo sapiens yet. But what happened is that caveman part of us does not see the money. If you put money in front of the caveman, it doesn't recognize what money is. But what it does recognize is that the money is about your power to survive. It's all about power or not power. It's about safety to survive, or the power to go in and make a pot of gold. You kill a large animal, and suddenly the clan is fed for a month. It's that kind of stuff. That's not the greed. That's the lust that drives a lot of people, alphas who like to get into trades they don't have any business in. And the fear base is sitting there going, I've come to believe that I can't do that. So here's the deal. Survival, evolution binds money and the power to survive, so that money in the mind becomes confused with your capacity to manage the uncertainties of risk. That's what we really need to understand. That is probably one of the most important things there is, because, ultimately, in this illustration, you're looking at an early human, probably between 50 and 75,000 years ago. And what happens is they've got a fairly safe place. They've got a cave. They've got a lot of things going. But what happens is when they hear something, they are automatically assuming negative assessment. They're assuming they're coming right off the savannas of Africa, where we originated, and they started looking out across the savannah. They saw these bushes. They made the assumption that a saber-toothed tiger is behind every bush. With that assumption that became belief, that became bias, it allowed them to survive better. But the thing is, we began to have a negative assessment machine called a brain and a mind. And what we've discovered, it had negative projection. If you've ever gotten into the thing about, are you sure? Are you sure? Are you really want to do that? That's exactly it. You are built from 6 to 8 million years ago. Actually, more than that. Mammals arose at about 125 million years ago. So this has been part of the genetic movement all this time. And then you think, I'm going to go make some money in trading, and you have no idea what you're walking into. So now we get it, is that to the caveman, that is activated when you hit challenging moments, is to the caveman, money is not money. Okay? It's the power to survive. That is the connection between your money and you flipping out. And what I want to do, I'm going to talk to you about the biggest self-fulfilling beliefs I see day in and day out in trading. If you no longer have these beliefs, you have become a very competent trader. Most, as they learn trading, this is the internal struggle that you're going to have to learn to master. The belief one, money makes me matter. Okay? If I win, if I make money, I have power. I have respect. You talk to any alpha, and what you discover is that they want the money as a way of mattering. You know, they want the power, they want all that stuff. And it works really well in certain environments. Okay? Like the environment of business. They take that same success formula, they bring it to trading and discover that they don't have any power over winning and losing. But the thing is, they don't want to lose because that says to the caveman, you're dead. You've just given your energy away. But also, a winner doesn't want to be a loser. At the same time, he wants to be a winner. He wants to be the one that gets respect. He wants the one to be the leader. He wants the status. Okay? That's the first. And the truth is that if you've ever had this come out of your mouth, okay, I'm going to make some money today. You've already set yourself up to lose. You do not have control over whether you win or lose. You have control over the quality of the mind that you bring to the engagement of uncertainty. That's what you have. If you learn to have a disciplined, impartial mind as you engage the uncertainty, if you have an edge in your methodology, your psychological edge is delivering it, and you're going to extract more capital out of the markets than you give back. But for the alpha, that's, by the way, that's the guy that gets in, overtrades. He gets bored because, he wants to be doing something. You have to be doing something to be doing something. And before you know it, he's looking around and he goes, oh, I'm just going to check this out. And before you know it, he's jumped into a trade that is unplanned, unwise, and he blows up. Okay? Now, let's take the second belief. This is a big one too. This is what limits more traders than I can imagine. Belief two, my net worth is a measure of my self-worth. Okay, I actually have worked with guys who, the one that's just shocking to me is I worked with a guy who had been trading with a high six-figure account for 15 years. And every time he went over into seven figures, he would lose back down into six figures again, high six figures again. Now, he was making money, but the thing is he's trying to grow his account, and he's hitting this threshold. He's hitting this glass ceiling, bumping it, falling back down, and he had been there for 15 years. Ultimately, in the family that he grew up in, remember, the brain is remarkably undeveloped. It develops through experience. In his home, it was in a blue collar labor family, and it just so happens his father adamantly believed that nobody was worth $1 million. Nobody had slammed his fist into the table to make that point. Well, it just so happens his client grew up thinking that nobody's worth it, believing, having a bias that he's not worth $1 million. So every time he hit that seven figure, he would lose back down. That is how the hidden belief is influencing his trading decision making. Okay, so we've gotten your net worth being a measure of your self-worth. I have a lot of money. I'm worth it. Look at me. Yeah, but at the same time, if you're losing, you're going, oh my God, I can't do this. Horrible, low self-worth. Now, let's go to the third one. I am not good enough to win at trading. I don't know. I'm just not fast enough. I'm not adequate. I haven't learned this stuff. I don't know why, but I have this belief that I'm just not good enough. I'm never going to make it. The truth is, if you happen to be a human, is you are born into a very broken world. I don't know if you've noticed that, but take it from me. We live in a very broken world, and what your brain is doing, it is organizing you to survive in that broken world. By doing that, you get pretty dinged up. That's the brain that you bring to trading. What we want to do is, these are natural things. I had plenty of people who feel inadequate, having grown up in a particular family, not because they were unloved, but just simply because their parents never showed them they were good enough. And it comes locked in, and it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. So we've gotten that. Now let's take the fourth belief. Whatever I have will be taken from me. This is scarcity thinking. And it is taught in our families. The truth is that I remember my parents, they bought a house. They repaired themselves from a major financial meltdown. They bought a house, and they kept looking at better, nicer houses once they were really well established. I mean, my dad was the chief aeronautical engineer on the C-141 cargo jet during the Vietnam War. He was a really well compensated guy. He easily could have afforded the home of their dreams. But the thing is they would look at them, but they were always thinking, what if the money's taken from us like it was? They stayed small. We grow up in things like that too. Be safe. Get a safe career. Make sure that you're okay. Don't go risking crazy stuff. And what happens is that, boy, that just absolutely comes and blows you away when you get into trading, because what happens is that the money can be taken from you, and that you don't have control over whether or not it's taken from you or not. But you do have control over the performance mind. And again, to move from gambling to trading is to make sure that you have a mind that is organized, that can handle itself as far as performance goes while trading. He's not looking to win or lose. He is looking to perform. Now, let's take the next one. Now, this is something people will call this poverty conversation. This is victimhood. Is things just don't work out for me. Yeah, and I see it working out for other people. They're making a lot of money, but somehow it just doesn't work out for me. I don't know why. I look in the mirror and I go through all my big positive affirmations, and I'm convincing myself I'm faking it while I'm making it. I'm making it while I fake it. I'm doing all that stuff, but the truth is at the very bottom of it, I know that things just don't work out for me. Now, we have just gone over the 5 biggest self-limiting beliefs that I have been working with for the last 17 years with traders. Are they true? No. They're assessments. They may have lots of evidence to support the assessment, but the truth is they're not true. They may be a well-grounded assessment, and you may need to be able to change that assessment to a more empowering way of understanding your competency and working with life and the challenges of life. But the thing is, it's not true. It may feel truthy, but it's not true. So what we want to do is we want to break free from these traps. We want to break free from the grip of these particular beliefs and understand, having done this for 17 years, this is something you see every day, day in, day out, day in, day out. Okay? It's just kind of the way life is. So we want to, hey, how do I break out of these things? Because ultimately, what you're going to find about your mind, if you think the politics in the United States has a lot of misinformation, you ain't seen nothing yet when you start learning to observe your mind. Lots and lots of misinformation that is going to try to hold you back. So what we're looking for is that I'm going to talk to you for a few minutes about the Ignite process that we use for self-mastery. We teach this. Yeah, and this is an individual program, but we also teach the same skill sets in our group program. And Mike's going to be sitting over here and taking over and telling his story. And what you will discover is he has gone through a process. And by the way, it's going to be a never-ending process. This is something that you keep skill sets up, you fall down, you get back up, you keep the skills going and going. But what we want to do is say, what is this Ignite process that Randy teaches? The very first part is after you learn to understand emotions very differently, it starts with emotional regulation. You have to be able to take an emotion that wants to charge and just break through things. And what you're going to do is you're going to learn to regulate the emotion by using your breath. Who would have thought that breath is part of an emotion? It's the accelerator to the emotion. Like, for instance, tomorrow when you're trading, take a look at how much tension is your body. Notice the way you're holding the tension. Notice how your heart rate is. And then also notice your breathing. If you're in a fearful or in an aggressive mood, you're going to discover that your breathing stops, or you breathe with the very top lobes of your lung. You're going to also find tension, just like here, tension. And, when you have a balled fist, the chance of you not getting aggressive are pretty small, okay? And so we're looking at it going with emotional regulation, with learning how to do bellows breathing, release of tension. What you do is you take the accelerant out of the emotion, you calm it down, and you have a chance. Is it going to solve the problem? No, there's more. The deal, though, is emotional regulation. If you cannot regulate emotion, you're never going to get to the door of the mind. You're going to get tilted and swept away before you do there. Things may be going well, and boom, they're gone. The next thing that you're going to have to learn if you're going to be a successful trader is mindfulness. You're going to have to be able to accept that, oh my gosh, my thoughts and I are not the same. My beliefs and I are not the same. I stand outside of that, but the observer that I am has fused to those beliefs, and that is what is creating my destiny in trading. So with there, what you learn is we're going to learn to step back out and realize that there is a witness, an observing self that does not judge. It watches. And as you develop that aspect of the self, you're going to start discovering some very nasty players in your head. You're going to have voices, thoughts, influences that are really highly destructive, and you're going to find that there are other more powerful ones. It is with mindfulness that you open the door of the mind and really truly begin to re-educate yourself on how you build a completely different mind than the one that you came to town with. And my promise to you is I grew up in an insane asylum. I grew up with two alcoholic parents, with my mother who was bipolar, and it was crazy all the time. My siblings did not do well. I learned to become mindful, learned how to reconstruct the self, and build a completely different life. And I promise you, if I can do it, so can you. But when you have that observer, finally, one of the very first things that you're going to have to do is you're going to have to find the dark side of your human nature. In my work, I talk about an inner critic. That inner critic is the part that judges you, that criticizes you, that has you gullible and taking really dumb, stupid ideas. The good times are going to roll. We're going to be there. Yeah, I've got it. All that. That's not you. But the observer that you are becomes so fused to that you collapse into this one structure of a self, and it's driven by the inner critic. Okay? And by the way, with an alpha, he's made all this money, he goes in, he starts trading, does great, and then blows up. And all of a sudden, the criticism, the judgment happens. After falling into the trap, getting suckered punch, then what you discover is, oh yeah, you can do it. Yeah, do it. Go. And then when you fail miserably, what happens? Inner critic starts the judgment again. So you discover it's not negotiable. There's also another part of the self that I call the adapted self. That is the part that has organized you into the human being that you are. Now, and what you are definitely going to learn to do is you're going to find in my work, I have a section called Inherent Worth. What I want you to do is to find out that there is a part of you that is beyond judgment, that is beyond performances. You begin to recognize that your performances are really about your competency as a trader. They have nothing to do with your value as a human being. I find it very important for a person to be able to access this part of himself or herself, to know that at the very core, that in my view, that you are conscious creation, that life wanted to be in relationship with you so much that it created you through evolution to a point of where it could be in relationship with you. That's the power of this. And that's, by the way, the current thinking in quantum mechanics. Okay. So we've gotten that. And then what you're going to do in order to be able to accomplish that, you are going to have to find your empowered nature. You're going to have to find that within you is the discipline of a ruler, the ability to maintain order under pressure. Within you is the courage of a warrior, protecting the boundaries of the kingdom. Within you is the self-soothing, the self-compassion of a caregiver. And in you is the critical thinking skills of a sage, the wisdom of a sage. Those exist as potential in the same way that self-limiting beliefs exist as potential. This can be done. You can learn how to start living actively from these empowered emotional programs rather than the emotions that came your way just simply because you got born into a broken world. So that's the shooting match, except once you build that, it is now time to turn toward the internal struggle going on with you, that judgment, and master it. Is you no longer don't have the skills. That's the whole point for me, is that what you're learning in my process is the skills that you need to be able to reorganize the human being that you are, not just into a successful trader, but into a much higher expression of the self. But this is the thing, is you're no longer having to fear. You're no longer having to avoid the discomfort of this weird stuff that goes on in your mind. No, you know exactly. It's the internal dialogue, and your job is to go in to reorganize it into higher functioning. This, to me, is the gift of being human. Now, what you're going to discover, this process that I teach goes well beyond trading. Yes, I want you to become a successful trader, but what I really want is for you to claim the power that already lives within you and to organize it into much higher functioning. As Lao Tzu said, mastering others is strength. Mastering yourself is true power. So your success as a trader really is about self-mastery. It's not about running from stuff. It is turning toward recognizing that it really has no more power over you than the power that you give it. And what I want to do is I'm going to make this short because I really want Mike to speak to you, because this is a guy just like you. But the deal is, if you're interested in this work, and if this is the first time you've run across it, go to my website, get the free stuff, get the free book, just watch the videos, go to YouTube and get on my channel. There's well over 200 videos there. I want you to kick tires, and I want you to start saying, does this guy make sense? And what can I do about it? Then what you discover, I have a book you can buy, but more than anything, you finally get to the moment of going, okay, there's a group course and there's an individual course. The people get into the individual course, because they want to work with me individually. They've said, no, this is the teacher that I want to learn from. The group course, it's a highly efficient way of getting these skills. It depends on you for the change. You're not going to be in a relationship with me. Powerful course. But the deal is this. My hope is that whatever you do with your life, that what you discover is you're going to have to master the self. And as you do that, you're going to find the gift that is beyond any measure. You're going to find the gift of life and come to the moment of going, wow, wow, this was given to me. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to go on mute for a moment. And then what happens is that, and by the way, we have a summer course right now that is half full. So if you want to take advantage of it, yeah, now is the time to register. And if you do that, we'll give you a $200 gift. I just want you to register, have enough time to be prepared when you get to the course, because it's fast. It's very fast paced. So what I want to do is I'm going to give this to the way he described this is Randy. Just call me Mike from Canada. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get the headphones over to Mike and let him sit in my seat if you'd like to, and I ask you to welcome Mike.
Yeah, I'm just finishing up Randy's individual Spark Ignite course, and it's just been such an incredible journey to realize what is going on in my mind, the mind that I was bringing to trading. And Randy's given me the tools through all of the coursework and meditations and one-on-one calls to identify what's going on and build the committee in my mind so that I can deal in the probability of trading. So I'm confident with the tools I have as I finish up the course tomorrow, I can go on to have a successful, sustainable career in trading. And the bonus out of all of this is that it's been given me so many gifts that I can just take into life in general, like Randy was saying, like into my parenting and how I view life, and just getting to that purpose of self-mastery, because for me, that's what trading's really all about. Obviously, we want to make money and be a profitable trader, but it's about the personal journey of self-mastery and building that strong committee of the mind, realizing that trading is solely about a performance, not about forcing an outcome. And does anybody have any questions about that, or questions from someone who's taken the course? And you can just type in those questions and we'll do our best to get to them all. So yeah, so I have the first one, someone from Canmore, Alberta, says how manageable the course is. The beauty of the working with Randy is he has kind of a framework with the schedule that he wants to work with. And after each call, we discuss when we'd like to do the next call. And it allows you to have the time if there's other stuff going on with your life. Like, not all of us are full-time traders. Some people are adding it into stuff that's already going on with their life to complement it. So I found it very manageable over the last few months to work around to have enough time to absorb the course. We'll go to the next question from Albert. How does the individual program look, and what are the goals to achieve during the individual program? The goal for me has been to recognize the triggers that cause poor performance in my trading, and then building that committee of the mind to slow the moment down, to stop the trigger before it happens, and bring the good performance in the moment that we all need to have profitable, consistent trading. And then what do we have next? General. So question from AQ Jones. How long did it take for you to see yourself in a different state for trading? How did you like the meditations? What was the most challenging part working with Randy? So diving into the course, you start to notice a different mindset and how you look at trading and other situations in life pretty on early in the course. The meditations are incredibly powerful and helpful tools to just start viewing things in an appropriate mindset that you need for trading. Um, the most challenging part working with Randy was really narrowing down those personal triggers and self-limiting beliefs that you bring to trading. And okay, so Don, so yes, I was I was an unprofitable trader before, and I am confident with the skills as we finish up that I can get to becoming a consistently profitable trader. And then from Bob, how long did it take to embrace the committee of the mind? And do you still have moments where you go on tilt, or how long before the tilt is no longer an issue? So for me, with probably like most of you, trading's not like a linear thing. So it's been an improvement over time. There is still times when tilt can be an issue, but the frequency is less than before, and it allows you to slow down the reactive nature of the mind from those triggers in trading. Okay, and then Keb's from Bristol. What did you mind were your early triggers, and how do you feel when you initially discovered them? Not sure if I fully. Not a question for me. No, Randy is not a trader. He's a trained psychologist by nature and is a professional trading coach. I was not paper trading prior to starting the course. I've been trading with. Have you been trading real money through the course or paper trading, and what constitutes the proper timing to switch from paper to money in the program? I have been trading real money the entire time throughout the course, so I can't really speak to answer that question for you. Aspen says, I have some very bad destructive trading habits. Can it be overcome? I mean, we're all on our own personal journey with this. I have had some bad trading habits as well that I'm confident with the skills that I've learned with Randy and building that committee of the mind that I can overcome them and make trading a viable part of my income going forward. So what did I find were my triggers early in the course? I had triggers relating to taking a loss and the self-limiting beliefs around that. So it allowed me to identify why I have that specific trigger and then slow down and then implement that good framework to deal with that. All right. All right. Thank you very much. And I'll switch you back to Randy here.
Well, hey, I just thought that if you heard from a person actually going through the challenges of how do you equip yourself to become a very different human being in the midst of uncertainty, and in their own words. Last question, Aspen, were you in group or private training? He was private training. He was in the Ignite course. Okay. Um, are there any? And by the way, you can ask me questions too. That was it. Okay. The major thing is this is that you were born a human being and that you adapted into being a successful, surviving human being is to be honored. Okay. It just so happens that trading requires a mind that is very uncommon, and it's no small wonder that very few people can become successful in trading. It's something where I work with a woman from Romania, and she's just finished up, and she's actually produced consistent profitability, not on a large scale. The next part of the journey would be learning how to size up appropriately and healthily. But she said, Randy, what's really changed for me is that the people I used to trade with, I finally come to a moment where I can't trade with them anymore, is that they keep making the same mistakes. I keep telling them that they can learn how to do this, but they stay stuck in a particular place that they can't escape from. And that's the whole thing. There's nothing wrong with the mind that you brought. Okay, it is an adaptation that it's worked and it's there because it did work. It's just that trading requires a very different kind of brain and mind than other things you do in your life. It's no small wonder that people have to go through training. My work, by the way, is my work developed because I was working with a lot of PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder. I was working with groups where my referral base was criminal court, was juvenile court, and was uh, um, not DEVA. Another just I worked with populations in my early career that most people just simply didn't want to. And what I discovered is that the kind of training that I'd had simply did not work. Okay, I could not help people find the tools for change that allowed them to be able to get beyond the kind of scary world they were in. And I eventually found emotional intelligence and neurobiology, and I began to recognize, oh my God, this is why people are having problems. This is why I had such problems in the early part of my life, and being able to organize it into the human being I am now. It's very different. What this Romanian woman said is this: the thing is it requires work. Is that if you don't accept that the brain you've got isn't working and that you can work on it, then I don't want to be around these people anymore. They're looking at me going, what's happened to you? And what she said is, what I'm doing is I have a set way of getting my mind into a solid place trading, and then recognizing that I need to step back out of trading, recoup myself, get my mind reorganized, and go back in. And he says it is work, but the thing is what I discovered is I got tired of the wishful thinking. Okay, um, and what I wanted was change, and she is she she's a force to be reckoned with. And once she made a decision she was going to change, she was going to change. So what I want you to do though is tomorrow when you're trading or the next time you're trading, notice yourself. Notice the just the chain of thoughts running through head. Notice the heart rate, notice your breathing, notice all that stuff, and recognizing this is all that is emotional nature. All of it is emotional nature. And what I hope for all of you is that you guys really find it in you to find the way of reorganizing self for higher function in trading. Now, um, we're if there are no other questions, then we will sign off, and my wife and I will have a couple glasses of wine, and Mike doesn't drink, so there's more for us, okay? But I think that's it. Okay. Oh, I'm being told. Yes. Okay. When will the following group course after June? Uh, it'll be in September. With the group course for June, do we get access to the following course? You get you get access to the group course. It's
in the materials in a virtual classroom.
Yeah, materials in a virtual classroom, and you will have access virtually forever. I figure when I die, you won't get access to them. I'm not having any plans like that. But no, I want people, particularly with a group course. I'm looking for people. The first time people get a hold of this material, it's like, whoa, it's going 150 miles an hour. And so with the group course, you're also given a free audit so that if you want to come back and take the course again, you can, free of charge. But you also have access to the materials so that I'm looking for you to have continual learning. I want to make sure those are there. So Randy, do you do in-person coaching? That's what the Ignite, and well, it depends on what you mean by in person, is that I have had a heart transplant and I have a depressed immune system. And before then, I was traveling across the world and stuff like that, but I was beginning to slow down that kind of, I don't really like going and doing a lot of traveling. We are now contemplating doing more places where I show up and stuff like that. But yeah, they would be speaking engagements and things like that. But the one-on-one for me is on Zoom. Is that I'm looking at you, you're looking at me, and what happens is that you again, I teach a process. I'm not going to open your brain, put in some pearls of wisdom, and then you're changed. No, that's not the way organic transformation takes. You actually have to learn to lay down new neural pathways. And it takes a good bit of repetition, but it also takes the understanding of what you're doing. And that's what this course has done. And the recording of this will be on the website tomorrow. And out of that, friends, I've really enjoyed myself. Thank you for your time. And Mike, thank you very much. We've never done this, and I was really amazed. Good questions, and they're asking questions that made a lot of sense. So, friends, I wish you well, and may your dreams come true. And remember that group course includes 5 group meetings with me, okay? And you end up with all the recordings, all that. We're used to working all through across the world. Yeah, but registered now because it will close. Okay. So I thank you. And it has been great. And we will sign off. And till next time, take care.